What's going on, guys? Chandler here. So this is going to be my new segment on my YouTube channel called First Listen Review that is taken from my $5 tier full album reactions. So I react to the entire album, and then at the very end I give my overall thoughts and initial thoughts and a score on the album as a whole. So again, if you do like what you see and want to support the channel going forward, head over to patreon.com/ChandlerBurtonEntertainment. This is exclusive to the $5 tier. Again, you get a full album reaction, review, and a whole bunch of other perks as well if you guys are interested. And again, there's always a link down below in the description and in the pinned comment. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the review, and thank you all so much for watching. Wow, man. Again, yeah, that was a really cool way to close the album. That last song definitely had like an era type feel with the guitar work and the structure of the song. Definitely felt like Era to me, which again, Era is one of my favorite metalcore bands. Just so good. Dang, dude, I've been sleeping. I definitely have been sleeping, man. I really enjoyed this album. It rocked. It was so good. But I'm going to give my first listen review. So again, this is going to be my overall thoughts of the album here. So stick around. That is coming up next. All right, my friends. So again, that was the band Within Destruction and their new album called Lotus. Just got done jamming the entire thing here. Man, I'm impressed, dude. I really like this album a lot. I didn't really know what to expect because, again, I'm not really familiar with these guys, but I was pleasantly surprised all the way through. I thought it was terrific. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the pros that stuck out to me during the first initial listen. I gotta say, number one, that these songs, I guess this album in general, does a really good job of blending heavy and melodic. Like, every song is like pretty cool. Like, it has those moments where it's like super heavy, and then when you think it's going to become a little bit stale, you're like, okay, it's going to go into generic breakdown territory. They bring it back in with some of the really cool electronic parts, which I want to dive into next. Some of the electronic elements, I guess the nu metal influence parts, are really cool. It keeps this album from feeling stale, and it keeps it fresh, and it keeps it really cool. There's a lot of bands out there that try to incorporate electronic music into their sound, but sometimes for me it just doesn't work. But these guys like really incorporate it in like a really good way where it doesn't feel crowbarred in, as I like to say. It just feels like it fits the song perfectly. You can tell that they really sat down and they're really like, okay, let's make sure this sounds good here, sounds good there. They really, I could tell, like, could sit down and really try to figure out what's best for the song. And I think that's really important here. The guitar work on this album is incredibly sick. I freaking loved it. The riffs, the breakdowns, and the guitar solos that we got on here are just like really beefy, and the riffs were cool, and the guitar solos were really cool. Some of the guitar solos actually reminded me a little bit of As I Lay Dying, and I love their guitar solos, and so I'm like, this is actually really cool. So the guitar, shout out to the guitar player. He is absolutely fantastic. And man, I gotta say, dude, I absolutely love the vocals on this here. I mean, the singing, I didn't expect us to get a lot of singing at all. I was like, maybe it'll just be kind of a one-off thing, but the singing on this was really good, and the screaming was really good. Homeboy's got some really good lows, so I was like, this is just there's a lot to digest on this album. Again, there's something for everybody on this here, and I think that's just the biggest pro that I can give it. There's something for everybody on this album if you are a metalhead. The only con that I would have with this album here is that some of the songs, in my personal opinion, again, this is my first time really diving into them and actually giving them like a full listen. A lot of the songs did have similar structures to them here. When I was trying to pick out my top 3 favorite songs, I had to go back and through like, which one did that sound like again? Which one did that sound like again? And so for me, some of the songs did have a similar structure to it. While it definitely has unique moments in each of the songs, some of them kind of follow that same structure. Like, they really have, again, like they have these cool elements in there that are like, wow, that's super cool and unique. And then after I'm done listening to it, I was like, okay, wait, what song did what again? You know, back. So for me, I think it's just going to take a little bit more, you know, listening to kind of figure out, you know, the songs and those types of things. But I did feel personally that some of the songs did have a similar structure to them while having unique stuff in it. Some of them did kind of feel a little bit samey. My top 3 favorite songs on this album here, I actually had to go back and listen to some of the songs to make sure this is what I wanted to pick here. And I think I'm pretty good with these three here. Again, it may change in the future, but these are the top three that stuck out to me here. Number one, I'd say Survival. I really like that song. I thought that was super cool. I love the Kamehameha reference from Dragon Ball. That was pretty sick. I also really like Scars as well. That one had a really cool vibe to it here. I think that was the song I was like, man, I really have been sleeping on these guys. I was like, this is actually right up my alley. It's super cool. And I really like Nightmare. Again, when listening to Lotus and Toxic, those songs were pretty cool, but Nightmare was the moment on the album I was like, okay, I am fully invested. While Lotus and Toxic aren't bad songs, I was kind of like, okay, it's just kind of, you know, your typical heavy song with some cool electronic moments here. But when Nightmare kicked in with that riff, I was like, all right, I think I'm really gonna like this album. And I did. It was absolutely fantastic. So again, those are the top three songs that stuck out to me here. Definitely might change because I do plan on listening to this album, you know, a lot more. But again, those are the three songs that stuck out to me on the first initial listen. I'm telling you, man, I've been sleeping. Like, I didn't know what to expect from this album. Again, a lot of reactors told me, like, dude, you should definitely check it out. It'll be worth your time. There's something for everybody on this album. And I completely agree with what they had to say. Within Destruction's album, Lotus has a lot to offer for the metal community here. There's no fat on this album. Like, it's just like all like very woven put together. There's no interludes. There's no beginning track, ending track where it's like kind of like an intro and outro, no filler or anything. It is just a straightforward heavy metal album, and I absolutely love that here. Again, they're blending elements of metalcore, deathcore, new metal, and hardcore into this album without it feeling like, you know, forced. It feels very natural, and I think that's a really cool thing. There's something for everybody on this album. Like, I legitimately believe that. Like, if you love metal, there's going to be one song on here that you like. Whether you love the super heavy stuff, the melodic stuff, the cool electronic stuff, there is something for everybody on this album. Whether you only take away 1, 2, 3 songs or just a couple of songs if you don't like the entire thing, I guarantee there's going to be that one song that you're going to add to your playlist, which I think is a huge compliment for the album here. I think this album is going to be slept on. I mean, look at me. I wasn't even going to react to it here until people told me that I needed to check out. So people like me are at fault for not checking this out, because I really enjoyed this album here. I'm going to give Within Destruction Lotus a 9 out of 10. Pleasantly surprised all the way through. Just absolutely terrific metal. I really liked it, man. I love being surprised and falling in love with new music, and this album was that for me.